Hello and welcome to the Wonky Gamer podcast. Today I am here with Nijax
Hi guys.
and Tritrium.
Hello?
We're going to talk about our favourite and least favourite games we played in 2015. Not necessarily games that came out in 2015, but ones we have actually played. So we're going to first talk about The Forest, because it's a game that we've all played. We're going to try and keep stuff that at least two of us have played. So I guess I'll ask this first to Tripio. What did you like best about The Forest?
I believe the fact that you can build bases, I suppose. Because I
Yeah,
like
that's
building
awesome.
bases. But yeah, just the atmosphere in general in the game is pretty good. It's kind of what stands out from. It's not just like the typical zombie game you got.
Yeah. What about you, Nijax?
I quite enjoyed it. I definitely panicked a little bit when I first played it, and I had a naked lady run at me. Um, Quite scary stuff.
Normally that'd be a
Um,
good thing, but not in this game.
not in this predicament, no. But it's good. It's definitely more eerie if you head more towards the caves and stuff and find mutant babies on the floor. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
No, I quite enjoyed the crafting and that, especially it's on your own. It's not as much fun. I didn't find, but if you're playing with someone else, it is quite fun when you have to run away and scream like little girls. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I remember the first time I played it and like I got attacked by one of those like I don't know what they even are, like those things, mutant things. And
Well,
like
you've
yeah,
got
they'd
the
like
main mutants, haven't you? And then you've got the giant spider mutants.
oh, I haven't met the spider mutants.
Don't want
They sound scary.
to.
You don't want to meet them.
But I got like hit over the head and then dragged to some cave and woke up in there. I was like, what the hell? And then I escaped, but it was pretty freaky. There's like loads of skulls and shit.
You can actually get a flare gun if you do that. If you get yourself knocked out when you wake up, if you turn right, I think it is. There's like a flare gun in there, and it one shots anything.
Oh really?
Yeah, and also the boat out in the sea. There's a flare gun hidden underneath the boat, so you have to swim underneath it whilst trying to avoid getting your limbs eaten by sharks. But yeah, you can get that. But the also there's actually an escalation process in the game as well. So the bigger your base gets, the more like kind of I don't know whether to call them tribe people come along. And
Yeah.
then when you get your base big enough, you actually end up with these mutants, and they come above ground because normally they're only in the caves. But when your base gets big enough, they start to emerge from the caves and actually attack you in full like waves and stuff. But it's only as you build like bigger, more kind of
Oh
beefier
really?
bases. Yeah, I never got quite to that point. I have met the mutant things and cried like a little girl. Um, but they're it's basically like they're like loads of different limbs. So you'll find one that's got like four heads, and then it's got like four arms on top of it and stuff. And they kind of there's one that like walks around a bit like a spider and stuff. But
Yeah.
I think one of them at least is that is deaf. So if you crouch, you can actually like walk around it. Like you can even pretty much walk against it and walk around it. But so what you can do is try and arrow it to death, and then try not to get molested. Um, which is actually quite hard to do because I tried it and died.
It is a little it's a little buggy in some places because when I was playing with Trip, we were like hiding on we were like building a base on the water and they can't cross over that, can they? They can't like go over water. They
No,
kind of freak
No.
out from it.
You can see them like dancing around at the shoreline, like going completely crazy.
they're just trying to catch a tan. Um,
Yeah.
um, yeah, when I first played it, we built a little shack on the beach actually, but then we didn't realise it's actually a patrol route. So we ended up with like 20 of these tribes people
Oh
just
no.
stood outside our house, and we're like poking the door open, and we're like, nope, we're staying in here. And, like we went out to try and go to the fire, and like literally they just run at you, and like it's the first time you play it, it is quite freaky when you get the like the leaper ones, so you know the ones that leap across the ground come at you.
Yeah.
They're quite intimidating until you get an axe and connect it to their face.
See,
But
the problem I had, I was always like a bit of a handicap to my team whenever I played it because I just keep getting killed, like trying to cut down trees.
I always
Yeah.
wondered whether you can be crushed by a tree that you cut down. I haven't tried it though.
I believe you can. I think I did manage to do that.
Imagine
Didn't-
that taking on a whole tribe, surviving, and be like, yes, now I'm going to cut the tree. Bang, dead.
See, I think I hit you, Trip, with the tree once.
Yeah, possibly.
I spent like half an hour trying to kill a turtle once.
Yeah, those turtles are pretty strong.
And then
Turtles
I got the thing. I was like, what do I do with this? And then eventually found out you turn it into like a water bucket.
When did it come out? It didn't actually come out in 2015, did it? It was like ages
First,
ago.
no, I think the original beta was 14.
But
I
they're still
played.
updating it, aren't they?
I think so. I haven't actually played it in a couple of months now. I played it more towards the kind of mid of 2015.
It's a much better game with people.
Yeah, it's very similar. Well, it's quite similar to Rust, but say Rust is a bit more involved. But yeah, there's quite a lot of survival games out currently, but it's definitely good towards the horror genre. But I think after a while, it kind of wears off in that aspect.
I think like any game, you sort of like min-max it, and then you sort of game it. It's like DayZ is a game where like after playing it for a few months, you know exactly where everything is and like how to get things quickly, and I don't know, it becomes a bit stale.
But some zombie games still scare the
Yeah.
crap out of you. There's a few. Even on things like COD Zombies, I've had it where I've turned around zombie in the face and I've cried like a little girl. I just got to scream the house down. But I think that happens with most games though. But like yeah, I don't know. It is horror, but I think it wears off very quickly.
I think it has like a limit to what you can do in terms of like building and stuff. Like once you've built your base, there's not much else to really.
You can just sit there and cook rabbits all day.
Yeah, which is fun, but like after a while, like you get a bit bored of cooking rabbits.
Then you start stabbing lizards and wearing their skin.
Yeah.
That's totally a sane thing to do.
Oh, what I like as well is you can cut up the body parts of the tribe's people and then make totems out of them.
I like the fact you can beat someone to death with their friend's foot.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I think that's the most awesome
It
thing
takes a
ever.
while.
Like, literally kicking someone to death with their friend's foot.
But yeah, I
It's
think
pretty much a game made for like closet psychopaths, really.
I think you can hold someone's head as well.
Yeah.
It would be awesome if you could like throw it in an arc and like get a basketball hoop and try and play basketball with their heads. Now that would be awesome.
That would be pretty good.
You could try and do it kind of, with the alpine trees,
Yeah.
treehouse, but try and like throw it in the hole for the treehouse door and play basketball with their heads.
Isn't that how football was made? Wasn't it like pig's bladders or something? They just kicked a pig's bladder about.
Yeah, originally, yeah. I can't imagine. All I can imagine when that was said though, that it would just make a mess if someone booted it too hard and you just end up with pig's guts or whatever everywhere.
Maybe that's half the fun.
Well, it's like a roulette who it explodes on.
Yeah. Right, should we go on to the next one? So the next game is one Nijax played a lot, which is Dark Souls 2. I played a bit of Dark Souls, but not as much as Nijax. He's like the Dark Souls dude.
Yeah, I was a little bit obsessed with that game. So when I originally first started playing the original Dark Souls, I actually only played it. I got stuck on the first boss, which is actually the tutorial island boss, which isn't really a tutorial island. It's basically to make people hate the game within the first 5 seconds. And like, you walk in a room, and then this guy drops down, and I assumed that you had to try and beat him to death with a broken sword, which I didn't have much luck with, obviously. And then I rage quit the game, didn't play it for like 6 months, went back to it, and then realised there's a door at the side you just run through and you run past him. 6 months that took me. But I played the original one for a long time. Like fully completed that, did the DLC and everything. And then the second one came out. I played that one to absolute death. And then they obviously brought out the Scholar of the First Sin last year.
And what was the difference between them? Was that just graphically, or?
No, Scholar of the First Sin basically took everything you knew about the game, turned it over, and went, "Screw you, we're gonna make this impossible." It like moved a lot of the enemy placements, put new enemies in places. It made the Iron Keep just your worst nightmare ever, especially if you're trying to do a fun run. There's archers there with great bows,
Right.
And if the great bow hits you, you get stunned and knocked back, and you go flying. So what they decided to do was put like 500 of them in the Iron Keep now. So if you try and do that area, you literally get knocked around like a rag doll. Which, if you're doing a normal run, it's not too bad. Like, you got a proper sword. Or what I've been doing lately is a fun run, which was fists only with Ronda Rousey, because
Yeah.
OP. And I got through most of the game fine. Got to that area, and I literally nearly had an aneurysm from trying to do that area. It's just awful. Because I kill the enemies one by one, the knight, and then as soon as I get in the open area, there's like two bowsmen at the end. There's like two up, one up high, two big ones across from the bridge, and then another two at the end, and then one guy on the bridge. So you're looking at like 7 archers to try and dodge. So I'm trying to fight one guy, and then I've got like 6 arrows flying at me, and it's just near impossible to do. And
So I mean, this is why it's so popular, isn't it? Because it's a game where it's seriously hard compared to most modern games. Like, a lot of people seem to like it because it reminds them of like playing games in the 90s and stuff.
I think the only game similar to it would be Ninja Gaiden, but but I don't think it's even that hard, to be honest. But once you get going on Dark Souls, it's relatively easy. Your first run through, you're going to die a lot, especially when you're learning boss mechanics and stuff. Like, a lot of the time it's just learning when to parry and roll, and once you get that down, the game becomes a lot easier. But like I said, when you try to do more fun runs, it becomes much more difficult. Well, the original Dark Souls 2 was, I'll be honest, quite easy once you learnt it. You could run past all the enemies. Whereas the Scholar of the First Sin, they actually changed it so the enemies will pretty much follow you as far as you can go. Like, they do eventually back off a bit, but like they follow you so far. Like, it's so you can't really outrun them anymore. Whereas before you could just sprint through each area and kind of ignore all the enemies and then just go straight to the boss. That's not possible anymore, which, yeah, it's better, I suppose. It makes the game harder, but it means that a lot of the routes people learn, like me, don't work anymore. So you try to run past people and then just get gangbanged, and it's just, yeah.
I suppose that's good in a way, because if you're coming back to it, it's totally different.
It is. It did change up the game quite a lot, which made me enjoy it a lot more, I'll be honest. Because it wasn't just, oh, I'll go in and just run through the whole game in like a couple of hours, which I could do. I got to the point where the game was so easy and like first nature to me, I could just run through it. Whereas Scholar of the First Sin, like I said, it moved enemies. It even moved items as well. Like, a lot of the items that were seen as a little bit OP early and stuff, they moved, and like you could get a ring that meant your max health didn't reduce below 75%.
Oh,
which
wow.
they actually moved that, 'cause it used to be by the Dragon Rider boss. But what they actually did, which I thought was quite cool, they put a dragon in front of where the Dragon Rider boss is, which was never in the game. Like, this dragon was never in it before. And if you actually try to run up to it, then it just breathes fire and one-shots you. So what you have to do is get it to breathe fire, and then run down the stairs, and then run past it, and then try and fight it. But the problem is, there's like 6 or 7 of these giant knights beforehand.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you, like I said, if you try and run past them, you then end up trying to fight a dragon and like 7 of these knights, and it's on a very small platform, so that doesn't go very well.
Jesus.
But it's good though. There's like loads of little things like these. There's hide knights, which are these white knights that don't attack you at all. They just sit there and mind their own business. But if you attack them, then they will attack you back, and then you normally find they continue to attack you every time you come up to them after that. But in the original game, number 2, once you killed them, that was it. You got their weapon, and that was the end of it. They didn't respawn. But they've changed it in this one, so they're in this area, but they don't attack you till you kill the first boss in that area.
Oh, right.
And once you kill him, they then all aggro. So no matter what, whenever you run in that area, they will straight away attack you. So from a lore point of view, I assume that he's kind of seen as their leader as such. I'm not sure. It didn't really make sense to me in that sense, but it's just little things like that. They definitely made the game better with the update.
Oh, that's good.
But I could literally talk about this game for hours on end.
Well, let's go on to Space Engineers. Because I was thinking this one is one that you've played it, haven't you, Trit?
A lot.
You've played it a lot, and I've played
quite a
it
lot.
a little bit.
Yeah, and I kept on inviting you to come play.
When was this though? I had like 6 weeks off gaming for a while. I literally didn't play games for 6 weeks.
It was before, so 6 weeks.
How was it? Whoops. The call of League
Yeah.
of Legends. But let's not mention that name in this podcast. But what did you like about Space Engineers? What was good about it?
Plenty of things were good about it. I think the most fun thing about it is basically the amount of creativity and the amount of thinking you need to do when you build like a proper big spaceship.
Yeah.
You really have to think about what and how you are gonna do it. It reminded me a little bit of the time I was like playing around with redstone in Minecraft and making like the craziest things you could imagine. You know?
So what?
OP.
Yeah, what
What?
kind of stuff can you do? Like, what's it about? I mean, I know that you're in space, you can make things. I've only played it a bit, and that was like a couple of years ago, so it might be totally different now. Like, are there planets and things, or what can you do?
Yep. Your plans now, although I haven't managed to visit one yet,
Oh,
because they're like, well, at least in the worlds we spawned in and that we were playing, it was like, oh, this world seems to be pretty close to us, and then when you actually travel like 20,000 miles or something towards the planet, and you're sitting there like, this thing isn't getting any bigger. This is maybe a little bit further away than we first thought. And then we just went back because it was like, yeah, okay, we need to build like a better spaceship with more things in it that we can like use along the way, and not just like a little scout ship.
oh,
But as for what you can do and make in the game, I don't know. I don't really know what you can actually possibly do. I know that there is a programmable block in it. I haven't used that yet, but I do know it's like you can write your own code that can be used in game in C.
what?
Really?
So I'm pretty sure you can do probably almost anything in that game, to be honest.
Wow.
I mean, I don't see that many limits to what you can do with it. I did
How?
manage to find out how to make automatic doors. That's a thing. Because holy shit, that can annoy me. Like every time having to press that tiny little button. Is certainly that's one of the problems. Well, one of the, not really a problem, but it's one of the things I think they should take a look at. When you have all these buttons in the game, there's plenty of, if you have like a big button behind smaller buttons, and you then need to use those smaller buttons, it more often than not, it happens that it clips to the big button instead, and you're kind of like struggling to press that little button.
It's like
So-
button inception.
Yeah, it needs to be. I think it needs to. They need to take a look at that or something. I don't know. But other than that, it's like, I don't know. We haven't played far enough yet to really say, oh, you can do all these things in the game. But I mean, from what we've played so far, it seems pretty endless to me.
I'm gonna have to try that out a bit more. I do feel bad that we didn't play with you. I need to get that going. Space Engineers. I mean, it does look quite good. I mean, from what I played before, I did enjoy it, but before, when I played it, they didn't have as much stuff in it, so I hadn't really.
Yeah,
And-
they have added a lot of stuff since you played it.
How many people can you have on a server as well? Is it only 4?
No, that's because I got shitty internet that there's something for.
Okay.
I think you can have up to 8, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
I may be wrong on that.
I think it might be more, to be honest.
I
I haven't
haven't-
really played multiplayer service.
I haven't actually played the game, but I've seen a few videos on it. But what you can do, like it, especially with multiple people, looks insane to me. It does look very good from a multiplayer aspect.
Yeah, it's just like the only problem that I feel with the game right now is that the performance. Like it really has some serious performance issues. When you like,
You have a pretty good PC as well, don't you?
Yeah, but it tends to lag
I
pretty
think that's
often.
happening with quite a large majority of games at the moment, where even a fairly decent PC can't handle some games at the moment. You really need to go like above and beyond, which
Yeah,
is pretty crazy because even with games like with Black Ops when I first got it, I had a pretty decent PC, but the only thing dropping me down was kind of my graphics card, which wasn't terrible, but I could only run the game at like 2 FPS. And then as soon as I bumped that up to a GTX 970, everything run 60 frames, no problem. But I had to do that, otherwise I couldn't play it. But whereas every other game I could play fine.
Have
I
you
think
tried playing Star Citizen?
I believe they call
no,
that
I
bad
haven't.
optimizing.
Star
Yeah,
Citizen's so poorly optimized.
but I think quite a few games are for PC now. Like unless it's literally a PC exclusive, then I
Yeah,
think
but
some ports are fairly bad.
Oh, ports are really
that's
bad.
that's what you get reports.
Did you hear
But
about the Batman game?
Oh yeah, there was loads of bad
They
press on
had to
that.
take
That was
that off.
crazy.
They had to take it off Steam and
Did
like
they?
reimburse everyone, and then they had to re-release it.
Wow,
That's how bad that was.
Jesus.
I think the same thing happened with I don't know if they took it off Steam, but that Assassin's Creed Unity game a year or two ago, like
Yeah, I think I saw quite a few bad reviews about that. I think that was also with people not enjoying the game as well. I think it was people said it was quite dull.
I kind
Like,
of feel with Assassin's Creed though that the best Assassin's Creed they made was the ones with actual pirate boats and you could do piratey stuff. And since
I mean
then,
Black Flag.
yeah, Black Flag and Rogue, they were both like you had a pirate ship and they that
There's one called
really
Rogue.
yeah.
I've never heard of that Assassin's Creed ever.
No, yeah, it's on PC. It was released at the same time as Assassin's Creed Unity, but I think it came out on like the PS3 and Unity came out on the PS4 or something like that. But it's a very similar mechanics to Black Flag, but I quite like the story. You're a guy who's an assassin at the beginning, and then you sort of become a Templar, and it's
Oh,
a
okay,
bit of a weird one, but I quite liked it.
that's quite good.
That was pretty cool. But should we go on to the next game?
Yeah.
So the next game, this is one me and Trit haven't played, although we might have experience with the other ones. But that would be Halo 5, which you've played a bit of, Nijax.
I have indeed. I especially bought an Xbox One just for that exact game.
Wow,
Um,
that's some dedication.
yeah, I've been playing Halo since Halo 1 originally. Used to play. I have like little LAN parties around my mate's house. We used to play like split screen as well. Play that game endlessly. Halo 2 I played for 3 or 4 years, like religiously every day. Absolutely loved the game, loved the storyline.
It's a weird one, because you're a bit younger than me. I think Halo was your GoldenEye. Like for
Yeah,
my generation, it was like GoldenEye, and Halo was like I didn't get into Halo that
absolutely,
much, but Halo
absolutely.
was like the same thing.
Halo was definitely the shooter for me. Absolutely loved it. I literally bought every Halo as soon as it came out. I even bought the Xbox 360. I waited till Halo 3 came out for that as well. It's the only reason I bought it. um, but as time went on, I don't really play shooters as much for the multiplayer, just as I've got older. But
Yeah.
I really enjoy the Halo story because obviously I've followed it since the start, and I just really love the campaign. I mainly bought Halo 5 to play the campaign and see like where the story is going. It was I'll be honest, I was quite disappointed. The
Yeah,
multiplayer seemed very it, was- it just seemed repetitive. I don't know whether it's because of the enemies. I just didn't really enjoy it. I still played it through, completed it, and then the ending was for me really mediocre. They left it on quite a cliffhanger, but to me it kind of felt like half a story, and they kind of left it open, which I know they obviously want to keep people wrapped in, so they want to get the next one. But it just felt very half-assed to me, like they just mainly concentrated on the multiplayer and kind of left the campaign out, really. Which disappointed me, really, because a lot of people are big Halo fans because of the campaign as well as the multiplayer.
well, I heard the campaign was really short.
Incredibly.
They cut a lot of the like on the multiplayer, a lot of the online stuff out that they had in Halo 4 and before that. was what I'd heard. Like a lot of the game modes and stuff weren't there.
Yeah, when I did play online, I didn't play that much multiplayer. Like I said, I'm not as big into the multiplayer as I used to be. I did play a bit of it. There is a new game mode though. To be fair, they did cut a lot of the older stuff. Like you haven't got as many game modes, but they've got a new one which is Warzone, I think it's called, which is it's quite good. It's mass battle. I can't exactly remember now how many people it is per team. It might be 10 or more per team, and it's like big, massive maps. And what you do, it's a very weird system. You start off with you go up levels as you kill people, and as the game goes on, and then you basically unlock every time you unlock a level, you can actually get loadouts.
Yeah.
So you start off. Everyone starts out with either an assault rifle, and I think it's assault rifle and a pistol. And then when you get to like level 3, you can then use a battle rifle.
Oh.
But you have to go to the loadout point, get a battle rifle, and then after you get a certain amount of points, you can buy packs, which a little bit like FIFA kind of. You can pay for them, but you can get the packs through points from playing the games, which is fine. So I did that, played quite a few games. I think you need like 10,000 points or something like that to get a gold pack. So you get a gold pack. And then you get you can get quite good items from it. So you can get like ghosts, scorpion tanks, wraiths, banshees, all the weapons, Spartan laser. You can also get a random weapon. So if you use that, then as soon as you spawn, you'll spawn with just a random weapon of whatever level that random is. So it's quite good. So the better you do in the game, the faster your level goes up. But it resets after each game.
Oh.
So like it's that game specific. So you always start off at level 1. And it's basically the better you do. So if someone gets quite a few kills, they get to level 3 quicker, then they can get the battle rifle. Then they can start killing people with that, get more points. And like when you get to level 6, I think you can also get the Mantis, which is if you've played Metal Gear, like if you haven't played Halo, if you ever played Metal Gear, the Mantis from that, it's a little bit like that as well.
Oh, cool.
And it's really strong, like really, really strong. But you have to, I think it's level 8 you need for that, which I've only ever seen one person ever get it, because it just, you can't really get it till very end of the game, pretty much.
So can you, like, I mean, one of my problem with, like, shooters at the moment is that I don't feel that they've evolved enough, because I know with, like, the biggest evolution for me in shooters was, like, probably Bad Company 2 Battlefield, where you, yeah, like, on that, you had a couple of things that haven't really been done to the same level since, so you could blow holes through walls, destroy buildings, make them fall down, and that was one of the kind of, I don't know if it's the first game at all, but it was one of those games where you could really rank up over a long period of time to unlock items and stuff. I mean, it didn't have like any ranked mode, but it definitely like made you want to play more.
Yeah, I think Battlefield was its own beast, really, because it thrived on being a realistic shooter, which obviously meant you could blow up houses, you could blow up walls. Like pretty much everything was interactive. Like you could just interact with anything whatsoever. You could just run up to a building, put a C4 on, and blow someone up with the other side of it, which was amazing. And obviously you had helicopters, you've got jets, everything. For me, like you, I absolutely love that game. Bad Company 2 was amazing.
It's the last good one.
Yeah, I kind of agree. To be honest, it was. I played that game so much. Absolutely, like I used to just fly the helicopter all the time because I loved it.
Well, we could use it as a segue into Call of Duty Black Ops 3 because
A segue.
yeah, because
I've never heard that turn of phrase before. A segue.
Have you never heard that?
No.
Maybe it's an American. Is it segue? I think segue.
I think you're probably saying the wrong word here.
I'm sure it's segue. I might be wrong. I'm probably wrong.
Transition would be a better word.
Okay, we'll go with transition. But anyway, what interlinks with Black Ops 3 is that my issue with the fall, in my view of Battlefield, is that they tried to copy Call of Duty too much, which is a shame because what was nice that made them both unique was that they were different. But we'll go on to Call of Duty Black Ops 3 because Nijax has played this one quite a lot and he's a fan. Me and Trit are probably both quite negative about Call of Duty, so should we start off with it then? I mean, you know, you've obviously played it a fair bit.
Yeah.
I stopped at Call of Duty 4.
I played the previous Call of Duties a lot. 'cause I used to be a console gamer, so I played all the previous CODs on console.
Yeah.
Up to I used to spam them constantly. I played like the previous Black Ops. I played all on console. Absolutely loved them. I used to play multiplayer a lot. As I got older, same as Halo, kind of went off multiplayer on that. But the thing I've really enjoyed about Black Ops is zombies, and the same thing with Black Ops 3. I actually bought Black Ops 3 solely for zombies.
So what is zombies? What is this?
Zombies involves basically rounds and waves of zombies trying to absolutely annihilate you. And you've got like you all start off in one room, then you can play multiplayer with 3 other people. And you've basically got wall buys for weapons, so you can run up to, if let's say there's a weapon on the wall, it'll tell you it costs 500 points. Every game you start off with 500 points, and when you shoot a zombie, you get points. So you get 10 points for it in a limb, and if you like get a headshot, you get 100 points. And
Okay.
with the points, you can actually open up areas. So you start off in one room, and there'll be a door in the room, so you can run up to that, and that'd be, let's say, 1,000 points to open. So 1,000 points, you go open that, you open up another area. There'll be more guns on the walls, and originally, the original zombies, it was basically just that. It was just trying to survive as long as you could, buying the guns off the wall, killing the zombies, and just trying to run around and survive. But with Black Ops 3, they've really gone up a level, to be honest. Not just even in the zombies mode. They've actually brought out a campaign separate from the main campaign, which is it's called Nightmare, and it's actually a campaign in itself to do with zombies, about the world during basically a zombie virus that has kind of erupted. The world's kind of gone into a bit of chaos, and they've actually made safe zones that are protected.
Is
And
it single player, that campaign?
you can play multiplayer, you can play co-op.
Okay.
I haven't done that yet. I've only played it single, but you can play co-op. And it's quite good. You have set characters you play. Obviously, it's a proper campaign. You play a story, and the people you play are basically enhanced humans, like with cybernetics.
Alright.
Which is quite awesome. I haven't actually got to the part where it explains why and how this came about, but you can they can jump from massive heights and not take any fall damage. Same as in the multiplayer, they've got like jetpacks and stuff. But the whole story, as it goes, is that someone's trying to basically break down and take down all the safe areas and like get everyone infected. And it's basically you play through that whole campaign of trying to stop that happening. And I quite enjoyed that, the fact that not only one campaign, they've got 2 campaigns in it. So for people like me that really enjoy the zombie aspect, you've got that on top of it. So to be honest, with Black Ops 3, you've got so much in there. You've got the main campaign, you've got multiplayer, you've got zombies, you've got nightmare mode, and just in zombies itself, you can play that endlessly. The new mode, it's called Shadows of Evil,
Yeah.
and that in itself, just as a zombie mode, is like a story entirely. You play 4 set characters. You've got a burlesque dancer, you've got a cop, a magician, and a boxer.
Okay.
And each round you begin, each person is one of those, so you don't get to choose. It's just random each time you play. And there's actually 4 areas for them in each game. And what it is, they've basically been put there by a guy called the Shadow Man.
Right.
And what you've got to try and do is do these rituals, and there's a ritual in each area for each person. And you find an item. So like the first one is a fountain pen, which is to do with a magician. And if you go to his ritual area, and you put that on the table, and you also have a ritual object, which is an orb. You use that to start the ritual, and you actually end up sacrificing his old assistant.
Mm.
And then when you do that, you get this thing called a gateworm, and you have to collect these to then open up the pack-a-punch machine. But
Right.
that's just one aspect of it. But you can basically play the game normal if you want. You could just do rounds and waves of zombies and just kill them. But eventually you get to the point where they've just overrun you. But like there's loads of little Easter eggs in the game for getting like a lightning sword and just getting a pack-a-punch gun that basically makes wormholes and stuff like that. And there's just so much content, even just in the zombie mode. It's just
I mean, it's
unreal.
It's a very controversial game because, as you mentioned earlier about the optimization of ports and things like that.
Yeah.
For example, the user reviews on Steam are like 60% positive. And from looking at all the like comments, it's mainly because of the optimization.
Yeah, I think the
I
problem
think it's the
there
main
is
thing, which is
It's that was my main issue. I've read up a lot on it, and everyone was saying bad optimization. But as soon as I upgraded my graphics card, it runs perfectly fine. So I think the main problem is, I mean, there probably is some memory leakage in it, but you need quite a decent graphics card. Like I said, I bought a GTX 970, and since then it's been fine. But to be honest, not everyone can buy like a £250 graphics card.
So I mean, you'd recommend it to someone that's got a decent card, definitely.
Yeah, anyone that's got a decent setup. I think it's mainly the graphics that's the issue. So if you've got a decent graphics card, play it. It's a really good game, really fun. If you don't enjoy the multiplayer, just for the zombies mode, it's the closest thing. The last proper zombie game we had really was Left 4 Dead, in my opinion, and I think Black Ops Zombies is kind of the closest thing we're going to get at the moment. I really enjoy it. Anyone that enjoys zombie games and even like waves type of games where you have to kill in waves, very fun. Or even if you just enjoy multiplayer like Call of Duty in general, and campaign as well. Obviously you've got 2 campaigns to play, so people that like story orientated games and stuff, but with an FPS kind of front, then there's definitely a lot of good points to it. There obviously is a bad point with if you've got a bad graphics card, you can't really play it, but anyone that's got a decent setup, definitely recommend it.
Cool. Well, I think next we got 2 more things actually, because there's a little thing I wanted to add on actually, just to talk about at the end, which I don't know if Trit knows much about it, but we can talk about this after the next game. But I really want to have a little brief chat about the new Final Fantasy and the Final Fantasy VII remake, because that shit's got me going crazy. But what we'll do next is talk about Tomb Raider, not the one that's coming out, because it hasn't come out yet, but the one before. It was like a revamped version of Tomb Raider that I played a bit of. Tritz played a bit of.
It's not a revamped version.
Well, yeah. I have witnessed it being played by my partner.
Cool. So, Trit,
you have
how
witnessed
do you
the
feel?
horror.
I'll be honest, I was mainly distracted by League of Legends, so I only experienced some of it. But from what I did see, it made absolutely zero sense.
Yeah, if anyone wants to waste large portions of their life in a game, play League of Legends. It's a good way to lose much time.
You can lose everything. Time, food, friends.
It's not good. It's still fun, but you just gotta not play it too much. Right, Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider. Well, like I said, I only played it for a brief period of time, and I kept getting told by other people like, "Oh, you should play it longer. It's like it
Should we
gets
give a bit of
better."
background to this, Trit? Like you've played all the Tomb Raiders,
Yeah.
haven't you? So you're a massive fan of the series.
Well, I don't know if I could say I'm a massive fan, but I am a fan of this type of games. I always have been, and I have played all the previous Tomb Raider games for exactly of what they were. They were, in essence, they were puzzle games.
Yeah.
And they were pretty challenging at times. And they had a little bit of shooting going on the side as well. So it was like some sort of action puzzle game. It was a brilliant mix, in my opinion.
Yeah, I loved the old Tomb Raider games as well. I thought they were really fun, like working stuff out and missioning about.
But the thing is, before I played the 2013 Tomb Raider version, I had played up until which one was it? Let me look it up.
Underworlds or Legend?
Yeah, I believe it was Legend, like the first one on the new engine.
Was Legend a remake of the original or something?
No. You got the anniversary. It was
anniversary, right.
Apparently a remake. I'm not sure if it's completely
I think
authentic.
It's a mix of a remake and adding. I don't know. I've got anniversary. I haven't played it for a while, but
it's been a very, very long time since I played the actual first Tomb Raider, so I can't really remember anymore if it's actually authentic. But that being said, I played through all these games.
Yeah.
I enjoyed them all very very much. Like they were all pretty good in their own. Some were a bit more difficult than the others. I would say that I think the most difficult one of the ones I've played since the new engine was probably Anniversary.
Okay.
That was the most challenging one of all the ones I played. But they were all pretty good in their own anyway. But and then I was like, okay, so now that I got the whole background of Tomb Raider going, now I can go in and play Tomb Raider 2013.
Yeah.
And well, let me just. I think the best word to describe is, well, not really a word. I think the best way to describe it was like, what the actual fuck is this? Like that was my first impression. What is this? So I'm ripped to pieces. I'm in some filthy place in the water. I'm a scared little girl, apparently.
Yeah. Why not?
Not really consistent with like everything that came before there, but whatever.
I suppose what they're trying to do, because it's a
I think it was meant to be the origins, really, wasn't it? It was meant to be when
Yeah,
she
it's
was
like how
younger
she
and she
becomes-
kind of first started out, which would kind of make sense why she's a bit more scared and not as
Yes.
experienced.
I know. So I just let that one slide. So I was like, okay, so fair enough. But then it's when like after you get out of this weird little place with all the crazy stuff going on around you. So then that's when the real stuff starts to happen. So first thing I believe that I came across was like hunting. Oh, you need to actually hunt for food to like satisfy your hunger. I was like, okay, this is cool. That's something. That's okay.
Metal
like
Gear Solid
this.
3.
Yeah, I suppose. I haven't played Metal Gear Solid 3, so.
It's a good game. Good game.
But I was like, okay, that's fine. But then I'm just gonna say that nowhere else in the game you ever need to eat. Like that was it.
What, is that only in one section?
Yeah, that was just one thing. Oh, you need to eat because like it didn't make any sense at all. It also has a crafting and stuff and all that kind of stuff, but like the only thing I can say about that is that it feels empty as fuck. Like there's literally nothing to it. Absolutely nothing. It's completely pointless. And from that point on, the game basically descends into I think the best. Yeah, I think you probably say like it descends into a Gears of War style of gameplay where you could literally just put a name on that game. You could call it you could call it Shoot Raider 2013. Nobody would care. Like it wouldn't make any difference. Like it was just like a generic third-person shooter from that point on. It was very disappointing.
I did feel the same. I mean, when I played it, I got bored very quickly because, I mean, I guess there was puzzle solving, but it wasn't really puzzles. It was
puzzle
like,
solving?
well, exactly. It was a lot like if you play like a third-person shooter, and it's like I don't know, like even something like, I don't know, Elder Scrolls or something, even where you'll open a gate or something, or you'll like push something along or something like that. It's really basic puzzles that aren't really puzzles. They're like just very obvious, like breadcrumb trail of things to do.
Yeah, and as far as I know, you don't actually need to solve them either to progress. Like that's another major difference with everything that came before. You actually needed to solve the puzzles, but you didn't have to solve anything.
Do you think this is to do with how games are evolving, though? That like they're simplifying them for people because they feel that's what people want?
I think that's a very patronizing way to approach things.
I agree with you. But I mean, it's something we've seen in most games. It's where you have the other extreme of games like Dark Souls, right? Because people are complaining that, in a way, games are being dumbed down.
But even Dark Souls to an extent is getting easier. I think, well, from what I've heard, especially with number 3, I think it's meant to be getting easier.
But I suppose with Dark Souls, like once you get the basic formula, it makes it. Well, it's kind of easy. It's just about.
Well, I think
let me just put it this way. So I had this argument with someone before that basically told me, well, this was his argument, right? So well, they can't really do that thing because the game wouldn't sell well enough otherwise, and that's like a non-argument. Like Tomb Raider is one of the best-selling franchises of the entire history of games on computers. Like
Was
there's
it made? Was it made by the same company though? Has it been bought out?
I believe it
Or
was made by the same company that made the previous ones. I'm
okay,
not sure. I think it was.
right.
They changed companies quite a lot in the history of the game. But I believe it was made by the same
Is it
people
Crystal
that made.
Dynamics or something?
Yeah, I believe they made Underworld as well, I believe.
Underworld was good. I liked that.
Yeah, Underworld was fun. It wasn't as challenging as the previous ones though. That was the least challenging one, I think, Underworld. But it didn't matter. Like it was still like it
Tomb
wasn't
Raider.
like you would stand there for hours trying to figure something out. It was more like a little bit more casual in its approach. But
Yeah.
it wasn't to say it wasn't at the point where you go like, okay, this is like, oh, you jump here, you jump there, there we go, we solved it. Like it wasn't like that either. You had to like try a few things out, but it wasn't like overly challenging at the same time either. I didn't mind it too much. I thought it was a more simplified version, but I mean, if you come from all those games you just played, I
Yeah.
literally played them one at a time, just like following. I started with the oldest one that I've picked out, and then I went up the ladder until 2013. And if you play all those games in a row, and you then come to Tomb Raider 2013, you're like, this is worthless. Like this is a worthless game. Like it's uninspired.
But I think that's what I wonder is whether, because I found this, that like the games I look forward to every year kind of they're all getting a bit stupid now. It's like the games I'm most excited about like in the next few years is like the Final Fantasy VII remake, Shenmue 3, which is a sequel to some games that came out on the Dreamcast. Um Maybe Star Citizen.
Nostalgia.
But yeah, but like, and I love like I love old JRPGs for example, and turn-based RPGs, and they just don't really make them as much. I mean, there was Tales of Zestiria, but
I think they've tried to evolve it too much because I'm the same as you. I prefer
yeah,
turn-based and active. Um,
exactly.
So for me, like in the Final Fantasy series, for me, kind of 10 was the last decent one in my eyes
I agree.
because after that they just kind of completely changed everything up. And I know they want to try and evolve the game a bit, but don't change what works and what's been like a major part of the franchise for such a long time.
Well, that's
Um,
what's been such a shame. I mean, I think
Well,
we,
that's a problem with Tomb Raider as well. I mean,
but I suppose
I've,
Tomb Raider wasn't made for you. It was made for because it's a reboot. It's made for some new
yeah,
generation,
new
I
generation of
suppose,
kids.
not us. But I think what's stupid and about that is that when you actually look at the ages of gamers now, I think the average age is around like 30 or something stupid like that. Something you really don't expect. And actually, the thing is with people sort of getting older who are gamers, like they're still playing games, they're still interested in them,
well,
and they're used to, you
it's a
know,
generation thing. The generation
Yeah,
before me
it's
didn't
because
play games.
yeah,
Well,
if
a
you've grown
few
up
did.
with it though, that's the difference. People that
yeah,
have grown up with it are going to continue. Like I've been playing games since I was 5,
same,
so I'm I'm probably going to be playing games for the rest of my life.
yeah. I mean, I
But
think that's the
people
thing.
like, well, my dad, to be honest, even him, he plays games and that like every
Mm,
now and then, not to the extent that we do, but he kind of got involved with PCs like when they first came out and then start. But he plays stuff like he does a lot of flight simulators and stuff like that. But
yeah,
even to that sense, I think our generation is when it kind of first kind of really started coming in and becoming normal place for people to play games a lot. I think it's just going to continue. I think more and more people, as time goes on, are going to be gamers, and I think it'd just be a commonplace thing.
but I think that's why for example, the indie scene's quite good because it's slowly bringing back the popularity of things that gamers want, but
Well, actually, the
haven't been
indie.
getting, you know.
I'll just add to that. I think the indie scene has basically proven how wrong a lot of these
Oh yeah,
companies are. Like that there
which is
is a
good
market
though.
potential there. That there
But it
is
is.
people that want to play these
I,
games.
there was an indie game I played which was called Miner Dig Deep, and it was
Yeah.
so simple. You just played this little guy, a little miner, and all you do is you mine down and mine gems, and then you come back up and you upgrade your pickaxe, and you can get a grappling hook and like build ladders and stuff like that. And like that was really simple, but I played that so much, and actually you can complete it as well if you get to the very bottom, then you get a giant diamond. And I maxed everything out, and I played that constantly. My mate even bought it, and we played it, and it was just a little indie game that someone had made. And I think it cost like £1, £1.50, and
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that more than some of the like £40 titles I've bought, just because it was such a simple concept, but it was really enjoyable.
But also, I mean,
Yeah.
some of the more like a good example. I mean, I don't know how good it's going to be. I've been in the alpha and all that rubbish for ages, and played it now and again, which is Star Citizen. I mean, I've got a lot of questionable views on its the way it monetizes stuff at the moment, to be perfectly honest. But that game shows, that's the highest funded that's the highest funded Kickstarter slash game by the public ever. Let's have a
Well,
look.
but you can't really. I mean, Star Citizen. I know quite a few things about Star Citizen, but I don't really consider Star Citizen to be like a full, flat out indie title because
No.
like the people that work for it and the people that work on the game itself are not exactly like random indie developers that just managed to make a decent game. Like all these
Yeah.
people have a pretty big history with making games. Plus, I mean, the funding is like in general, it's like miles above any other indie developer can possibly dream of.
But I mean, the funding, right? For this game, I mean, having a look at the stretch goals now, 65 million.
Yeah.
Like that's incredible. But the point I was going to make about Star Citizen was the fact that because they've done it public funded, right? Space games died, after games like X-Wing and stuff. Like that came out when I was a kid. I played X-Wing and TIE Fighter and stuff on the PC on Windows 95. Like a lot of companies felt that space-based games in terms of like flying your own ship and stuff was like just not going to sell for like 10, 15, 20 years. And this has proven a Kickstart campaign, granted with quite a lot of backing probably, like they've probably got a lot of companies involved and stuff as well, but
Yeah.
for it to do that well, I think this is what I like about the indie scene is that it's not that you necessarily call it indie, but like stuff like Kickstarter is forcing things back into the gaming space because people do want it, and it's a way in which they can show that there's a demand for it, without big companies kind of ignoring it, I suppose.
The only way to show it is to vote with your wallet. Really,
Yeah,
that's the only
apparently.
way. There's no other way. You just need to vote with your wallet. That's
To
the
be
only
honest,
thing.
I think they need to go back to basics with a lot of the game. I think going back to how a lot of the games used to be,
Yeah,
it is quite a good idea. I know I spoke with you guys about this before, but like you say about Kickstarters and indie developers, like with old games, even like Spyro and stuff like that.
yeah.
Like there was a guy who was doing a HD full remake of Spyro, and he actually finished the opening world from the first Spyro, and it looked beautiful. Even Spyro looked absolutely amazing, and
Wow.
they actually shut him down
Why?
because they don't
Was he
want.
trying to monetize it, or?
Well, no, he was just working on it as his own little project, and they shut it down. I think he might have had a Kickstarter for it, but they didn't want him to continue. And apparently, he's not the only person they've done it to. Multiple people have tried to start up a HD remake of like things like Spyro and Crash Bandicoot, and
Yeah.
they just get instantly shut down. It was originally Insomniac, I think, that owned it, but I think someone else owns it now.
Well, I
And
heard that someone's trying to make a HD remake in the Unreal 4 engine of Metal Gear Solid 1, but that's going to get slammed because it's Konami, who are the worst company in the world.
see, I would buy that instantly because Metal Gear
Same.
Solid 1 to me was just absolutely incredible. To be honest, I don't really know a game like it. I know you've got like Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, but to me, number one, the way that was played out with the above view,
Oh,
it
it's
was just
amazing.
Bird's Eye was just amazing. The whole story as well. I actually went back a couple of years ago and played it, and I didn't realise how awful the graphics were.
Have you
Um,
played? There was a GameCube remake.
no, I haven't played that one actually. I've still got the original disc for the PS1, the bulk case with the is it three
You should check
discs.
out the GameCube remake. It does look a bit better.
I know on one of the Metal Gear Solids you have a flashback and you get to play the first one in like HD, I think it is, or might be the original graphics. I don't know.
Ah,
I don't know which one it is. Whether it's number
is that not Metal
4.
Gear Solid 4? There's like a bit
It
where you
might
kind of
be.
go back to Shadow Moses or something.
Yeah, something like that, and you get to experience I think 1 and 2 again. But I know they did do a collection which I think had number 2, 3, and 4 on it.
Yeah, they did
Um,
a HD remake
yeah,
of 2 and
I was
3.
just really gutted they didn't do number 1 because I just absolutely love that. Like, especially the bit with Sniper Wolf as well. I think that would be awesome in HD.
I think they will. I think, to be honest, because Konami have got rid of Kojima, they will probably just remake like the original games with the new engine.
That'd be
Is
awesome,
my
to be honest.
guess because they've said they're making more Metal Gear, and the only thing that will sell, in my opinion, without Kojima will be remakes. Because
To be
yeah,
honest, all the franchises are doing it. You've got things like Gears of War. They did an anniversary edition. You got the Halo one, which has got
yeah,
all the old Halos, but which is actually really awesome because you play it with the new graphics, which there is a huge difference. It's so amazing. Like it's a
yeah.
complete like rebuild up. But you can actually press the back button, and it goes back to the old graphics, and it's amazing. You can just switch seamlessly while you're playing, and just switch back and forth between the old and the new,
That is
and
pretty
just
cool.
the texture difference is incredible, especially if you one of the people that originally played it, and you look at it and you see the difference, and you're just like, Jesus, this looked amazing when I played it, and it's crazy.
Well, isn't it mad? I mean, like, I think Metal Gear One's like quite a funny one to look at. Like, it actually looks appalling if you try and look at it now.
it's
But
just
like,
it's just blurs of color.
yeah, but when you played it, it didn't look like that. Do you
No,
know
it
what I mean?
didn't.
Because
It looked amazing.
you had so much more imagination to the game because you weren't used to like amazing graphics. It was much more like, I don't know, like there was an imaginative side to it. It's weird.
I even remember when I think Spyro 3 that came out, and I was like, oh my god, these graphics are incredible, and like they were compared to the first one. It got a lot better, but like even now, it's like it would make your eyes bleed now trying to watch it.
Yeah.
And it's just it's madness, to be honest, absolute madness. And even stuff like on like Game Boy and that, like the original Pokemon and that, you look at
Oh
that to
yeah.
now, and like when you were battling and stuff, it was literally just like little pixel blocks, and that was it's like, yeah, that's Pidgey. It's just a
It's
bunch of
really
little
bad, isn't it?
blocks, and it's just crazy, absolute madness.
So speaking of old school games, I reckon we should finish with talking about the Final Fantasy VII remake and maybe Final Fantasy 15, because similar to you, like buying a Xbox for Halo, I will probably buy a PlayStation 4 just on the basis of the Final Fantasy VII remake and maybe Final Fantasy 15.
See, I not only did that with Halo, by the way. I actually bought a PS3 solely to get the Final Fantasy X HD remake as well.
I've
That's like,
got that as well.
but that was for me. Final Fantasy X was my favourite out of all the Final
Was
Fantasies.
it?
I played that to absolute death. I probably had
See,
400,
maybe that's a
500
generation
hours.
thing as well. Because I grew up with first Final Fantasy game I played was 8, and then I played 7 and 9.
See, I
Um,
played 9, then I played 10, and then I
mm,
played 7.
ah,
And 7 was good, but I still, for me, it goes 10, 9, and then 7.
I
I
bet the graphics felt really dated going from 10 to 7.
it wasn't too bad to be honest, because I played 9 a lot. 9 to me was really underrated. I don't think as many people played 9, but 9 story wise and gameplay was incredible, really really good. And
I liked 9.
it has the best Final Fantasy character ever in it, Vivi.
He is pretty cute.
Vivi is just the number one Final Fantasy character ever, overall. Just full stop.
7 and 8 were my favourites, but I did like 10 a lot, and 9 was good. 9 was unique. It was its own thing, I felt.
I think the cutscenes in 10 were just incredible. They were just
Yeah.
Like,
but how do you feel about this remake?
7.
Have you heard much about it?
Yeah, I have. I've seen pictures as well and a couple of screenshots and that, and I'm not sure whether I'll get it. I'll be honest. I love Final Fantasy, but I don't know. I'm not sure on it. It does look incredible, but I'll wait and see. I'll be honest. Like I said, it wasn't my favourite. If they did it for 9, I'd buy it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
9 was on the PS1. 9 was my favourite. 9 was incredible. I have played 8 as well, but I was only on the first disc on 8. I kind of got bored of 8.
8's probably one of my favourites. I'd say it's my favourite, but
I couldn't get into it. Just didn't get into it.
It's weird. It's really weird. Like I loved it because it was kind of weird, and I mean I didn't like. It had like 2 separate storylines going on, like one set in the past or something, and that was a bit weird. But I didn't really like that aspect of it, but it was still probably my favourite. But it was my first Final Fantasy, so that's probably.
Well, at the moment, I'm actively going back and playing the old ones. Like currently, I'm playing Final Fantasy 4, which I've almost completed. Just on the last set of bosses now, and that's really enjoyable actually. The update on that, the graphics update on that, and
which one's that? 3 or 4?
4.
It's got a sequel to it as well, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna buy it, but there was really bad reviews about it.
Really?
So I kind of feigned away from that. But I looked at number 3 as well. Final Fantasy 3, that looked very good. So after I complete 4, I might play 3 which seems like an odd order to do it, but obviously Final Fantasy there's no tie-ins in the stories, so it doesn't really matter. But
well, I mean, the one that a lot of people love, like even more than 7, because 7's probably the most popular overall, I'd say, but was Final Fantasy 6, which had a really good story, but that's on Steam, but that is like really graphically. They've not updated it at all. Well, they've updated it, but it doesn't look like the original, and people are complaining about that. But it's not 3D or anything.
Can't win.
But that would be great to see a remake of. I mean, for me, the remake of 7, there's a lot of things I'm concerned about, but I really want to see one. I want to see 7 with amazing graphics. I want the full game. I want more things added. But I mean, from what they've said, there's a lot of questionable things that concern me about it. So, I like the fact that they're going to add more story content and all this kind of stuff. But what they're saying is because it's going to be such a big game, and there's going to be so much more content added to it, they're going to release it in several parts.
Yeah, they're going to release it in episodes, which I thought sounded a bit like a money grab. I'll be honest. I don't see how you can release a Final Fantasy in episodes. That's gonna knock a lot of people off buying it.
Or make a lot of people wait, because for me, I don't really want to play Final Fantasy 7 over 7 or 8 years or something in separate parts. That's not really.
Well, I assume they're being quick succession. I would assume so.
I never played the Final Fantasy games or anything, but it depends, I think. It depends how quickly they will release them after each other. And it will also depend on how much they're going to ask for each episode. If they're going to ask AAA prices for each episode, then you can forget it. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be like... I
wouldn't be surprised if it's at least £20 for an episode.
What I'm wondering is whether what they decide to do is expand the game so much that they're going to have them as three episodes, but 3 separate games that connect as one game.
I don't understand how it's going to work though, because you've got intertwining parts. Like you've got secret bosses that you can do like halfway through the game or near the end of the game. So how is that going to tie in? Like, do do all the episodes tie in as one game, or like if you complete one part, do you then have to boot up the next part, and does it?
Well, I'm
Like,
wondering whether it work like the original, where you just have like a bit like having 3 discs, and that it'll be maybe in episodes, but
I'm assuming it's going to be like you've got the main game, so you'll buy Final Fantasy VII, the remake, and
yeah.
then there'll be DLC as the episode. So the remake one would be the first episode, and then you have to buy the second and third, so it'd be like a DLC download, which I'm assuming is how they do it actually. But to me, it just seems.
I think there needs to be more details on it, because I mean, it looks amazing, and I like the idea that adding more to it and linking in a lot of the other games that were made around it, that kind of the lore and the history. But for me, the whole thing just feels a little bit. I'm not sure what they're doing. It sounds like they want to add more content and have most of the content from the original game. So that sounds good. It will be a lot longer than the original, even though the original was like 60, 70 hours. So that's amazing. But how much is going to be in each episode? Is it going to feel like a full game? Or am I going to feel like I played for 15 hours and then I've got to wait a year to play the next part? Like, that's, for me, is not going to sit very well.
Yeah, I don't particularly like the episode idea, and if they started to do that as a general theme in Final Fantasy, that would definitely put me off the series.
I mean, it depends how they're going to do it. If they are going to make it like a trilogy of games that's longer than the original and feels like each one's an independent game, and they all interlink and form the same game, so stuff you do in the first one, say on the map, will stay there on the second one, so it's still one full game, if that makes sense. That's fine. Like, as long as they're long enough to feel like a full game. Like, I want to get at least, like, for a Final Fantasy game, you want at least 40 hours out of one. Really, you want more than that, so I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Well-
We need more info.
In this day and age of DLCs for everything,
Yep.
I'm not sure.
I can understand it in some things. I can understand it like with some online games doing it, and like I can understand with story, like click and point games, like kind of the old Sam and Max style and the Walking Dead
Yeah.
games and stuff like that. I can understand that with episodes. That makes sense. But doing it with an RPG just seems so out of place.
It does. I mean, when you get a JRPG, you want to sit down and literally hammer it for like a week or two.
Well,
And
you
it's
just want to sweat it. That's all
Yeah.
you do. When you play an RPG, you just sweat it. You just play it constantly, non-stop.
You just literally want to go offline. You don't play any games with anyone else online. You just sit and play that epic RPG with nothing intruding.
I did it with Final Fantasy IV. I had one day, I started playing it a bit, and then I had one day where I started playing it, and I played it for, I think, 8 hours straight,
Yeah.
and I didn't even realise. I looked at the time and went, oh god, I need to go to bed. But
That's what you want, though, from
yeah,
those
but that's
games.
yeah, exactly. That's what you want to do with an RPG. You want to get so stuck in, you don't even realise the time. But
Yeah.
I'm not being funny. You're playing an RPG, and then it goes, you need the next DLC, and you're like, oh, okay. But then you kind of give up on it, and you forget about it, and you then need to get back into the game.
Well, and then you have to remember what's happened, and then you
Yeah.
can't really remember, and then you're not that interested. And
The whole
like,
point, it's meant to be seamless. It's not meant to be broken apart. You're not meant to break an RPG apart.
No. Especially not with. I mean, I don't know what the timescales they'd have on it, but if you have to wait a year in between each one, you'd have to replay the first one because you don't really remember what happened after a year because you've done other
I imagine
stuff.
it'd be a couple months, like at the most.
I hope so. But
I
like,
can't imagine them making a massive time gap because that would just be
I
ridiculous.
mean, if that's the case, I would wait 4 months to play it. I've waited 17 years already for a remake. I will wait like 4 or 5 months longer, or 6 months, to get the full thing in one go. Like, I'd happily do that.
It'll be interesting. I have to wait and see. To be honest, it's all speculation at the moment. I know they're definitely doing the episodes, but whether they might even release all the episodes at once, I don't know.
Did you see the reactions though to the announcement of it on YouTube?
I imagine they were horrendous.
People were fucking crying. Like, I haven't seen because some of us have been waiting for like. I mean, I played this when it came out in like 17 years. Like, cause I played that when I was like 11 or something. Like, I didn't cry when I heard about it, but I was pretty emotional. I really, really want to play like a remake of that game because it meant a lot to me. I played like a lot of time on that game as a little kid.
Damn man. Are we getting all
that
emotional?
Zelda.
So I got really excited when they announced the HD remake of Final Fantasy X. That got me really hyped.
It's not too bad actually.
I think you guys just described what the problem is with me not really liking RPGs though.
What's that?
Well, what you guys were just describing, like you need to like get sucked into the story and really
Yeah, you have to.
be with what's happening, and I can't do that. I just can't do that. That's
Really?
probably why those games don't really appeal to me.
Yeah, you have to get absorbed by it. It's just like that's the thing. That's probably why 10 was my favourite, to be honest, because especially with the cutscenes and everything, you get so involved with all the characters and it all just incredible. Like completely, it does suck you in, and you just I don't know without. I suppose if you can't really, I don't know how to say it. Like if you can't really get the feel of the characters and stuff, then I suppose you can't really enjoy an RPG because otherwise it's just literally, well, just like
Well,
playing a turn-based game with blocks, really.
yeah,
There's no soul to it, really.
it just gets really boring really quickly.
Oh yeah, I mean the best thing about the old Final Fantasies for me are the story. I mean I like the turn-based combat, but I mean for me it was just a vehicle for like getting more story. It was just like part of the. I mean, there were aspects of the combat that were amazing, like Final Fantasy VII's combat, where you can level up your materia, and it had this whole system where if you had all the materia and you leveled them all up, you get a super materia that would have all the materia and all this kind of crazy stuff. Like, it was really, really cool. Like in terms of that, like the leveling system was amazing in that sense, but it was the story that I liked about it
So I
more than
really liked
anything.
the sphere grid in 10.
That was pretty cool, actually.
Oh, I really like that, and the fact that you could customize some nodes and you have clear nodes and stuff, and really customize characters a bit further. But and you could choose the route you went, like with
Yeah.
each character, which added downsides because some obviously if it's an inexperienced player or we first start around, you don't really know what you need for each character, and people could take the wrong routes.
Oh, definitely.
But I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was nice to be able to kind of pick and choose where you went, what way, and how you built your characters up, really. Or you could do it like I did and sweat the game so hard that you maxed everyone out.
Did you do that on 10?
I maxed 4 of them out. Started
Really?
maxing out. I maxed out Yuna, Orin, Tidus, and Waka. I started maxing out Mari and Lulu, and then I had 2 memory cards at the time, and my save was 181 hours or something. And
Wow.
I put in my other memory card to play on my other, because I had another save on my other memory card that was playing. And I went to go save it, and I'd already taken out my memory card to play my main save. And I put my main memory card in, and then I went, oh shit, I haven't saved on my like new profile. It was only like 10 hours in,
Yeah.
and I just went, you know what you normally do, just go XXX save. So I just there's me spamming X, looked at it, and literally I almost cried.
Oh no.
I overrode my 181-hour save with a 10-hour save.
Wow.
I
Nice.
didn't play Final Fantasy X again for like 3 years. Literally put it down, didn't play it again. I was just like, I've wasted half of my life in playing this game.
Shit.
But it happens. But I still love the
Right.
game.
Should we end it there, guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Well, thanks for being on today.
Cheers for having us.
You know, it's been really good. So yeah, that's us, folks. Catch you on the flip side.